All right, last example says the treble strings of a grand piano are parallel. So these lines, let me find my pointer. Here's my pointer. Okay, these green lines are parallel, and other than the fact that it says that the lines are parallel, I also know that because I have these red arrows here. That means those three lines are parallel. Viewed from above, the bass strings form transversals to the treble strings. Find X and Y in the diagram. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to deal with this blue line first. And I don't want to get confused by this second blue line, so for right now, I'm just going to white out that other blue line, just so I don't get confused what I'm talking about here. So I'm whiting out this other blue line, which means I'm also whiting out 120 degrees, because for right now, I'm just dealing with that top line. And I'm also going to white out the 25x plus 4y. Okay, so I'm just looking at that top line, and I really don't even need this line in the middle for right now. So I've got two parallel lines being cut by a transversal, and so first thing I would ask you is, what is the relationship between these two angles? What is the relationship between this angle and this one over here? And sometimes you have to take your paper and you have to turn it on its side to see it, but those are alternate exterior angles. So I'm going to write alternate exterior angles. And what we know about alternate exterior angles is that they're congruent if and only if those lines are parallel. So the lines are parallel, that means those lines are congruent, which means their measures are equal. So I'm going to write 125 equals 25x plus 5y. Okay, so far that's what I know. Now I'm going to white out this line. So I'm going to put everything else back. And I'm going to white out the top line. I don't want the 125 anymore. And I don't want the 25x plus 5y. Okay, and actually I don't really need this line. So if I white those out, then I can see I have two parallel lines, and the angles that I'm talking about now, let me switch colors, I'll switch to blue. The angles I'm talking about now are this one and this one. And those two angles are corresponding angles. And what I know about corresponding angles is they're congruent if and only if those lines are parallel. And I know those lines are parallel because I have that red arrow. We already talked about that. So congruent means that their measures are equal. So that means 120 equals 25x plus 4y. Okay, so now I don't need the picture anymore. I have my equations. But looking at these two equations, I have x's and I have y's. This is looking like a system of equations. So a system of equations has x's and y's, and we have two equations for the x's and the y's. Okay, let me put this blue one over there. I'll put this red one over here. Let me take that with it. Okay. And so now I have these two equations, and if you remember back from Algebra 1, when I have two equations and two variables, I can solve using elimination, substitution, or graphing. Now these are set up pretty nicely for elimination. Elimination is when I subtract or add the equations together so that either the x's or the y's cancel out. So starting with the numbers, I have 120 minus 125. So 120 minus 125 would give me -5. And then I'll just line up my equal signs. Now I have my x's, 25x minus 25x, so that would give me 0x. So I'll just draw a line through those because those x's are canceling out or equaling 0. And then I have 4y minus 5y, so that's going to give me -1y, or you could just say -y. Okay, now I want to solve for y, so I'm going to divide by -1, divide by -1, and I get 5 equals y. Then I'm going to take that, and I can plug it into either one of the equations. So you could plug it into the top one, or you could plug it into the bottom one. It does not matter. I'll plug it into the top one, so that means 120 equals 25x plus 4y. Now instead of writing y, I'll write what y equals, which is 5. And then 5 times 4 is 20. And then I want to solve for x, so I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 25. So x equals 4. Now they said find X and Y in the diagram, and so I'm going to put a box around X, and I'm going to put a box around Y.